Yay.
Welcome back, folks. My name is Ken, and this is episode 152 of Generation Red, a Husker podcast. Thanks for stopping by tonight. We're about to preview the Las Vegas Bowl and talk about some other stuff tonight, so we hope you stick around. Like I said, my name is Ken. I'm one of your hosts.
And I am Scott, and we've got a special guest with us tonight. If any of you OGs can remember, a couple years ago, we used to have some primo guest spots. Introduce yourself to those who may not know you, my friend.
I'm Andrew, formerly of the Big Red and More podcast. We don't do anymore. Life just kind of got a little too busy to keep up on everything, but always good to come back and check in every once in a while.
Yes, and we appreciate having you on tonight. It's exciting to actually talk with you about a bowl game. Yay! 2 in a row. Let's go.
A Vegas game too.
Yeah,
Vegas game. You got coaches flying across Vegas on a zip line. You got all kinds of crazy going on over there. And the game itself is definitely not the type of game that I would associate with Vegas, because neither one of the teams is really flashy, if you will, on offense. They like to run the football. I mean, and neither team is good at stopping the run. So you could see a lot of fireworks in the run game, I suppose, is something you could say. It just doesn't seem to fit the Vegas vibe that well. But hey, I'll take it. It's another bowl game. It's a step up from going to New York, which that game looked really miserable to play in the other day. So I'm glad we didn't have to go back there. You can follow us, Generation Red, at Gen Red Pod on Facebook, X, and YouTube. You can subscribe to the podcast by searching for Generation Red on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, and making sure you subscribe. Our website is genredpod.com, and our email is genredpod@gmail.com. We also have merch available. Just go scan the QR code at the upper right part of the screen to check out our store, or if you're listening to this podcast after you've downloaded it, tomorrow or the next day, make sure you just go to genredpod.com, click on the link at the top of the page. We also want your opinions during the stream tonight, guys. We'd appreciate it. Sound off in the live chat or drop a comment down below if you watch this video later or on demand. So that handles all of the fun stuff that we need to handle right at the beginning, the house cleaning, if you will. Let's just go over a couple of quick things, boys, before we get into the meat of the show. I've watched a few bowl games. I haven't watched a ton of them. I think I've watched maybe 4 of them from start to finish here and there. For me, what would be your favorite bowl game? For me, the Pop-Tarts Bowl is just cool. I just love, it's so gimmicky. It's so cheesy. It's just these stupid Pop-Tarts dancing around the field for 4 quarters. And doggone it if the game wasn't good. Georgia Tech put up a heck of a fight. I thought for a while there they'd pull it off. But BYU, man, they deserved it. They won it. And that was my favorite game so far this year. How about you guys?
Well, shoot. Well, just tonight, I was able to catch kind of near the end of the game of the, was it Capital One? No, it's something else. Liberty Mutual Music City Bowl. There we go.
1 and 10, yeah.
Not to be confused with Liberty City from Grand Theft Auto.
Great game.
Excellent soundtrack. Yeah, so that one, I would say at this point, at least for excitement and a Big Ten win, was fun to watch. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the Pop-Tart Bowl. I got to watch the highlights, and I thought Georgia Tech was running away with it for a little bit. They're just kind of keeping tabs with scores. Dang, big shame. But I'd say that, let me pull it up here. Yes. I mean, I know it's not really a bowl game. It's, playoffs and whatnot, but that first round game between Miami and Texas A&M was just, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm in the Big Ten now as a Husker fan, but just those defense dominant games where it almost feels like you're watching a soccer game where there's not a lot of scoring happening, but there's a lot of almost scoring happening, and it's really exciting. I don't know. I'm a glutton for those low scoring defensive dominated games with a little bit of flash here and there.
The amount of missed kicks in that game.
Oh, dude. Was it
That
4?
Miami?
4? Yeah.
Oh, that poor kid. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
brother, you got to make one or you are not getting on that plane.
For sure. And I mean, the narrative, of course, when you think about these bowl games, and I haven't looked at the latest tally, but I think the other night I had tweeted out that after LSU lost, that the SEC was now like 2-6 in bowl games. Meanwhile, the Big Ten was sitting that night. They were sitting at 5-0. And you keep hearing all the apologists out there saying, well, they really don't matter all that much like losing to a 5-7 Florida team for Alabama didn't matter that much because it was at the beginning of the year. So I'm like, so when does it matter then? I mean, when do you count a loss against the SEC? I guess it's only when they lose to other SEC programs, even if they're not ranked, right? Because it's the freaking SEC. And, it's the preferred conference of the 4-letter network that has decided single-handedly in many ways and respects to ruin the game of college football. So,
yeah, I seen some on Twitter the other day about how LSU is the exact same program as Minnesota right now. And because they're in the SAC, they get all the votes to stay ranked and Minnesota doesn't. Yep. But it's a lot of that, like the ESPN narrative and driving all that, and then like the Notre Dame's bailing out, where I'm kind of a little checked out other than the playoff games. Like I watched the Illinois one here right before we went on, just because knew that would probably be a good game. But the way a lot of these teams are like just being babies about all of it when they don't get their way is just it's a turnoff, right? The way that it was a turnoff for a lot of people for the NFL a few years back, right? Where it was just like, all right, what are we doing here? It's too much. Well, now with college, with the transfer portal, with, the only games that matter are the playoffs, bowl games don't matter. So then it's like, yeah, you've kind of lost my interest as a fan now when it comes to bowl season, which sucks because as kids, that was everything, right? I mean, you had your pools and everything with all of your friends, right? Your bowl game pick'ems and all of that. And now it's like nobody cares to do that anymore. Like, so it's like it's frustrating that that's lost some interest in that way, and it's definitely lost mine.
Yeah, the only thing that I look forward to in a sense is just matchups. Like, oh, this is an interesting matchup. How are these two teams gonna match up? I think our game that we're playing is an interesting matchup. It just, I mean, maybe not in Nebraska's favor. It's not interesting for me as a Husker fan, but if you were a casual onlooker, like, maybe why is a 10-2 team playing against a 7-5 Nebraska?
Yep.
That's strange. This has got the makings of a really good underdog win. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Dad, you were right. I remember when the whole, college football playoff initially kicked off and then the transfer portal was added, NIL, all those three things, the transfer portal becoming more expansive, NIL becoming what it was, and then the college football playoff, that little like three-headed beast. I was unconvinced at the time that it was going to ruin college football. But I was clearly wrong. It's the wild, wild west right now. And yeah, like you said, Andrew, you get teams opting out of bowl games. Props to Vanderbilt.
Players.
Props to Vanderbilt for competing. But yeah, and then Notre Dame. Yeah, and like you said, players opting out. It's just, I mean, I understand now it's a business, so you got to make business decisions or whatever, but that's kind of the whole thing that made college football so great it had a business, but it was kind of a business lurking in the shadows, but it was mostly pageantry, mostly tradition, mostly, I mean, it's where football was actually born in the hearts and minds of the American people. It was first college football, and then professional football came along. Yeah. And here we are.
That's when you used to get your first out of conference big games, right? I remember growing up in like the 90s, a lot of your non-con games were a lot of the smaller schools. So the first time you really got to have that big out of conference game was a bowl game, right? And also like the timing of the portal too is what's kind of ruined it with the player opt-outs. Now I've always understood, hey, if you're going to be a first round draft pick, especially like a top 15, yeah, I get it. Don't play the game. Don't get hurt.
Don't risk your future.
Yeah, totally get that, right? But now you have guys that are like, well, I'm probably going to transfer, so I'm not going to play in this game. And, or I might be a 5th round pick. I'm not going to play. Like, it's, to me, I think that's progressively gotten a lot worse. I'd say over the last like 3 years, it's really just
this year is
90% of your almost all your opt-outs are coming from the games that aren't associated with the playoff, right? I mean, it's just guys that aren't going to be playing in a game that means anything to them because we've devalued the bowl games. I think the bowl games still have value. I think the games are still great. The bowl games I've watched have been fantastic, competitive, fun games to watch, except for maybe 3 of them where they were blowouts. But for the most part, every game that I've watched has been competitive. The teams have played hard. The games mean something to them. They just don't mean something to the eyeballs that watch college football anymore because it's all about the money and it's all about the playoff now. And I don't blame the players. I don't blame guys like Emmett Johnson. He knows there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on that game in Las Vegas, and he's probably a 3rd, maybe a 4th round pick. Maybe he's gotten a better grade than that, and that's why he's coming out after his junior year. I don't know those details, but I don't blame him. I don't blame him for not wanting to suit up.
Yeah, I mean, he's a running back. You got to save the miles.
In the grand scheme of things, this game for him doesn't mean much. No. But it means enough that he's there in Las Vegas with his teammates and he's helping them out. So I appreciate that about him.
How do we expect the players to give a crap when the full teams don't give a crap to play?
Yeah.
Like Notre Dame, Kansas State, and I forget who the 3rd team was that opted out.
Iowa State, I think, opted out, but that was because so many players were leaving.
Totally understandable.
Not Matt Campbell leaving. So,
a roster of 14 guys.
That's insane.
Freaking Minnesota came in here with a roster of 40, with a roster missing 30 players, and they freaking beat us in 2020. So roster depletion doesn't mean much if you know how to play football. Or maybe it doesn't mean much because the coach on the other sideline doesn't know how to coach it, but that's for another story for another day. I'm ready to move on. Speaking of players opting out, we know now the news has been out for quite a while that Dylan Rail is expected to enter the transfer portal on January 2nd. At this point, going into this bowl game tomorrow, do we care? I mean, we haven't heard boo from him personally. You've seen Emmett put out a thank you. You've seen a lot of other players from other schools that are leaving or transferring out, and they're thanking the fans and thanking everybody, and we haven't heard boo from Dylan or his family or anything. So the question in my mind is he leaving, or is he just basically saying, peace out, I'm out. I'm not even going to acknowledge the fact that I was here, much like the defensive line coach that's now at South Florida, who never listed the fact that Nebraska was part of his resume. So do we care? I mean, he doesn't, I'm sorry. I'm kind of over the Mahomes cosplay. I'm over the fact that we averaged 228 yards passing this season with him under center. And I know the last 3 or 4 games figured into that as well, but he wasn't averaging a whole lot higher than that by himself. And we're paying 3.5 for that. Sorry, You want to make $3.5 million. Don't expect me to feel bad when you want to leave. I just don't. I'm ready to be done with it. So I'm just curious to hear what you guys have to say about it. Start with you, Andrew.
Yeah, same way, right? It's always funny too, brings up how he hasn't put out the, thanks for everything Nebraska post. Is that because he's not sure about his options? He wants to leave the door open to come back. Like, does he really think people want him to come back? Because that's crazy. Also, there's been a really aggressive pattern of we're lucky we got him for 2 years, because usually he leaves every year for somewhere else, even starting back in high school,
4 or 5 schools in 4 years. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, no one should be surprised by it. We're kind of surprised he even came back for a second year. But to your point, if we are going to pay you millions of dollars, like, there's got to be some pretty substantial progress. Now, I understand your O-line didn't help you as much as everyone wanted them to, but also you held on to the ball a lot longer than we needed to. I remember watching games where I'm like, he's right there, throw the ball. I know it's not a home run ball, but it's a positive play. Get the ball out to him and keep getting down the field, right? That's all we need to do. So I think there was a lot of that where you just want to be this big showboat hero, kind of not, like, I'm not saying he's not a team guy, because I really do think he is a team guy and people like him inside the locker room. But there's definitely I need to constantly be making the big play rather than let's just get progress every play and help the team move down the field, right? Keep the other defense off the field. Yeah. Those little things, those are what the NFL wants anyways. So you might as well learn how to do that. But it'll be interesting to see who even wants him. I mean, doesn't he have to stay with Adidas? Does he have to find another Adidas school to sign with? Is that going to be Louisville? Is that going to be Indiana? Like Jeff Brom, stuff like that. So that was always mine too, where everyone's like, well, they talk about Oregon, they talk about Miami, they talk about all these other schools. I go, well, those are all Nike schools. Doesn't he have to go to another Adidas school if he wants to keep his Adidas endorsement? Unless he's got a Nike one lined up, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. Don't know if it limits his options just because he has that contract with Adidas. It very well may. How about you, Scott? You have an opinion at all on?
Yeah, he's going to be a confusing one to try and understand. In retrospect, that there was a lot of upside with him. If I think we've all talked about this, if he got a solid offensive line, like an elite level offensive line that can make him feel a little bit more comfortable. What could his, what if we had this, what if we had that? But yeah, to Andrew's point, there was also a lot of just easy dump opportunities that he had that he could have done more with. And then there was a lot left to be desired with the play calling that, we talked about it all season, the style of play calling, these long developing plays that, was it truly just Dylan, or was it also our coaching staff trying to give him these big star dazzling, extraordinary plays that you could showcase his talent? But then when push came to shove, there were opportunities with those razzle dazzle plays where he would overthrow guys,
or underthrow them,
or underthrow them. So
he'd make some hell of a plays too, though. That one where he was falling down and then still chugging out. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I still don't even know what the Dylan Raiola experience was, because there was so much potential. And I still think that there is still a lot of potential, with the guy, wherever he goes, if he gets plugged into the right system where he can sit in his pocket comfortably and he can kind of get a mental reset, I have very little doubt in my mind that he can be the type of guy that can really perform really well, like he was expected to, being one of the top quarterback recruits of his recruiting class. It's just, I'm still just going to scratch my head until I see where he goes and what he's able to do at other schools and kind of see the pattern play out to the end of his college career, I'm still just going to be like, what even happened? What was that? Where, what? And then, yeah, to your point, Dad, like the whole Mahomes light, the diet Mahomes kind of persona that just got Nebraska dogged on by just a bunch of casuals. It was kind of just tiring. Yeah, and I've heard, and this was what's also so confusing is on one hand, I hear a lot of like, he's a team player. He's a guy that like people like and respect and that he's one of the boys. And then on the other hand, I hear that he's like an extremely polarizing and toxic player. And he's just has a super big ego and is super demanding. And I don't know which one to believe because
gotta have a little bit of that to be in that role.
Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of
Sure.
you got to have a little bit of an ego. But yeah, I don't know, man. The whole Raiola experiment it's got me befuddled, really. I wanted it to work out. But as far as I'm concerned, he just needs to go. I know he hasn't like officially done anything. He hasn't said his goodbyes.
January 2nd, so yeah.
Yeah, so I just think he needs to go. We need to just hit the reset button again and get a different system because we were not ready for a pocket presence quarterback, a true pro style quarterback. We just didn't have the right pieces to surround him that were going to make him as successful as we can make him. So it is what it is.
He's suited for Indiana's offense and their play calling, right? They're all pro style. That's why Mendoza is going to be able to plug and play right into the NFL. He's the easiest one to scout of all the quarterbacks coming out because it's literally nothing but pro football plays, pro offense, right?
Yep.
And to your point, we were not set up like that. That's not how Rule wants to run his offense. That's not how Dana wants to run his offense, but that's what Dylan thrives in. So,
but he didn't thrive in it.
But
yet he didn't thrive in it. So part of me wonders, Scott, to your point about the play calling, how much did the play calling hurt him in the sense that they did call a lot of long developing plays? But we also have heard from Rule and from Dana the fact that Dylan has full control of what that offense is when he gets to the line. He has full control over reading the defense and checking into any play he wants to. And I wonder how many of those long developing plays did he check into because he thought the defense he was seeing was going to allow him to do that. We don't know the answer to that question. But I'm guessing that the answer is somewhere in the middle. Some of it was straight up play calling. Some of it was Dylan wanting to check into the hero play because he thought he saw a defense he could make that play against. So, and let's be honest, Dane Key and a couple of guys over the last couple of years have not helped him out in the 50-50 ball side of things either. There have been a lot of catches that were made by other receivers and similar thrown balls. Indiana, for example, against Oregon and against Penn State, Fernando throws that ball up where only the receiver is going to get it, and damn it, the receiver got it. There's a lot of those throws Dylan made this year that the receiver was the only one that was going to get it, and he didn't get it. So he didn't get a lot of help either. So, I feel for the kid because I know he wanted to be the one that helped turn Nebraska around into something different. But I am also of the belief that what Rule said he wanted his offense to look like in his opening day press conference versus what he ended up having to run when Dylan decided to commit was completely different than what he wanted to do. And he had to literally refocus his thinking, reshape what the offense was going to be. Turns out he maybe should have told Dylan, there's probably Georgia might be the better option for you, dude. But turn down a legacy 5-star kid.
You need him to come in and bring the program back, which he did, right?
Yep.
He brought us back.
He did. He brought back
to our bowl games.
Back. He brought
2 years, self-recruiting, all that. But then, it's almost like, well, now who's going to be our Tommy Frazier that gets us over the edge? So
sure. for sure.
Could you imagine the crucifixion that would have taken place if our
He didn't.
program said,
Yeah.
no, we don't want you.
Oh,
Yep.
And then that becomes public. Dude, Rule would be talk
they
about
would have fired him. The fans would have
like,
complained
are
enough
you
until he
insane?
got fired.
You're going to turn down a 5-star quarterback? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah,
But hindsight's 2020. Maybe that was probably the better decision.
I think of it as like, you know what? You dated a girl for 2 years. She's a great person. She didn't do anything wrong. It's just not meant to be. Just not meant to be. Let's just go our separate ways. Wish you the best. You wish me the best. Let's, move on.
We've got a couple of comments in the chat from people who don't normally watch the show. I think one of them thinks you're Eminem, Scott.
It's possible. I thought so. But then then the other one's most definitely an AI bot. So
yeah, they're more of a bot. So asking
Prove
what our
me
favorite
wrong.
football team in the NFL is. Well, we're not talking NFL tonight.
Mine is the Denver Broncos ?
Yeah.
Or is it?
Is it? Is it? We don't know. Okay, so we'll start to kind of circle into this upcoming game in Las Vegas. How much stock do you put into Nebraska's chances being increased because Utah's head coach, Kyle Whittingham, has left to be the head coach at Michigan? And I believe he's taking his offensive coordinator with him, but I don't believe the offensive coordinator is leaving until after the game. I don't know if you've seen any of that, Scott or Andrew, but I thought that's what I had seen. I just hadn't really done too much of a deep dive on it. So the offense is not going to change. The defense is not going to change. I don't think the head coach not being on the sideline is going to change a thing. Maybe some of the players are going to be like, he left. Why are we, but I doubt it. The team is just too well coached, too fundamentally sound for them to have a head coach take the plane to Orlando and have them completely get derailed as a team. I just don't see it happening. How about you guys?
Yeah, I don't see it. If it was a program where it was, a 4 or 5 year head coach with their second or third year DC coming in as an interim, maybe I would be more inclined to think, oh, this actually is good. But with Morgan Scaly, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's been with Utah since he got out of football, basically. He's been there since 2007. He's been their defensive coordinator since 2016. And it's almost the exact same scenario that Kyle Whittingham was in. He was the defensive coordinator for Utah for 10 seasons. He was the DC under Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer kept him as a DC while he was there and got them to a 12-0 record. Then Kyle Whittingham took over the program. And now we're seeing almost that exact same pattern of their defensive coordinator. I'm just going to say Scally. That's just how I'm going to read it.
I think you're right. I think you got it right.
Morgan Scally is basically like a 2.0 version of that. So there's a lot of continuity with not only the program as a whole, but the players are going to know this guy in and out. They know that he's a program guy. He's the type of guy that's going to stick around, and they're going to play for him. I mean, this defense that Utah built this year, that's a really good defense, that's their guy. So yeah, I don't see any reason to see a step back from this team at all. If anything, I think they're going to play harder.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you that statistically Nebraska fielded a better defense in 2025 than Utah, would you believe me?
No.
It's true.
Boo.
So
go ahead, Andrew. You were going to speak. I'm sorry.
So the Vegas line hasn't moved at all.
Mm-mm.
They opened as 14-point favorites. They're still 14-point favorites. So I think that's the most telling of all.
Yep,
right?
I agree.
If any of these major changes, dramatic changes mattered in the slightest, that line would have went to 10 or 11 or something, right? About the only breadcrumbs really got on this one is Bill Bush this morning, which, he's close with Whittingham and close to that Utah program. Just kind of said, if you think that those guys getting all the extra questions about coaching and stuff that Nebraska didn't, he's like, it does matter. It is distracting and getting their heads. But I get it, right? He's on a radio show for Nebraska. He's got to say something to help Nebraska feel a little better and get a little up and bought in for this game.
Right.
Mine just always goes to the Vegas line. If that line didn't move at all due to everything going on, then it's going to run pretty true. I didn't like Scott's score prediction because that's what I wanted mine to be. So, so I had to adjust a little bit. I always just go off of the over-unders and the spread, but anyway.
Right.
But right. They're like an Iowa. They're consistently good and disciplined, and you don't get them off their base no matter what crazy stuff is going on. They stay together and locked in within those four walls of their place, and I don't see us knocking them off at all.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be checked out at all. I'd just be curious to see how Nebraska responds just with all the upheaval that's happened in the program, the way things have completely changed. I look for our offense to perform better, but I'm not sure the defense is going to be able to keep Utah off the field or get them off the field. So with that in mind, let's jump into the season stat comparisons for Utah and Nebraska. I've got some overlays that I made because I thought it was important that we just kind of take a look at the two teams. So here we go. Starting with the one that's going to hurt because this is where they are so much better. They're second in the country in rushing at 270 yards per game. However, their defense is 113th in the country against the run at 183 yards per game. Nebraska, on the other hand, is 81st in the country on offense in rushing at 145, and they're 97th in the country at 171. A negligible difference, but there is a difference. Utah has not played the run as well as Nebraska has, which is the weirdest thing I thought I would ever say going into this game, knowing how good Utah is at running the ball. So like we said at the very beginning of the show, they're not flashy offenses. We're going to see a lot of runs. I think we're going to see a lot of RPOs and zone reads with TJ Lateef if that hamstring is 100%. So you could see a lot of long runs come tomorrow afternoon, and I'd be all for it. So that would be cool. Passing, they're pretty similar. Hang on, wait a second. I did actually take a look at and do some comparisons. I averaged all the totals for the Big Ten and the Big 12 teams. I just did a composite average to see if there's a huge difference between the two conferences. And there really isn't. If you look at rushing offense in the Big 12, that conference itself averaged 169 yards per game. And in rushing defense, they averaged giving up 152, whereas the Big Ten averaged only rushing for 155 yards per game, and they gave up 135 yards per game on defense. So there's not a huge difference between the two statistically. What that means when the two face off against each other, we're going to find out tomorrow afternoon. But for the most part, there's not just this ginormous difference between the two. I was surprised to see that the Big 12 actually rushed for more yards per game on average than the Big 10 did. Any thoughts on those numbers there, guys?
No, they're pretty much indicative of what Nebraska's identity is, that the only rushing offense that we had was on Emmett Johnson's back. Outside of him, we can't produce the run. And that's very indicative when you look at that. We're like 82nd or something in the nation when you have the top running back in the country for rushing yards, one of the top running backs. So it means that there was absolutely no supporting role. And then, I'd say I am surprised that Nebraska's rush defense is marginally better than Utah's.
Surprised me too.
Yeah.
Really
so
that's
weird. That's weird. Which, once again, every way that you can measure at least this side of the ball, the rushing side of of the ball. It doesn't play in Nebraska's favor in any way. Because it's like, oh, cool, they have a worse rush defense than we do. Well, what do we have to throw at them? Nothing. And they're going to be pretty much the same. So, dude, I hate everything.
So you're telling me with those new defensive line guys coming in, with Coach Rule coaching the defensive line through all of this bowl practice, we ain't gonna suddenly step up and be amazing. I mean, he's got his hat backwards, for Christ's sake. It's like Top Gun or Over the Top. So
that should do it. He's just Matt now. He's not Coach Rule.
He's Lincoln Hawk right now.
I thought it was funny. Yeah, he turns down. There's a reference from a really bad 80s movie that whenever it's on,
a great
I still have
movie.
To freaking watch it, dude. I have to watch it. Have you seen it, Scott? Over the Top? You've got to find it if you do. Stallone plays a truck driver who is a professional arm wrestler.
He has to arm wrestle to save custody of his son. And he's got a machine in the truck while he's driving. It's amazing.
Yeah. And he flips his hat around backwards, and that's when he flips the switch, man. So there's a callback to a really bad 80s movie, and I love it. I was in college when that movie came out, man. That's what dates me right there.
Yeah.
What is it? What did you say it was called?
Over the Top.
Over the Top with.
And the kid's just a spoiled brat too.
Yep. Spoiled little rich kid. Yep.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And wasn't it like his ex's father that was trying to kidnap him or whatever? It was it was a really twisted, crazy story. So
oh yeah.
Sorry for that rabbit trail, folks, but we had to go there. So we'll just kind of look. Passing's not going to be, I don't think, nearly as an important part of this game. Utah averages 209 yards a game. Nebraska averages 228. Utah was 90th in the country in passing offense. Nebraska was 66th. Again, 66th in the country with a 5-star quarterback. It was such a letdown. Utah is 17th in the country, however, against the pass at 178 yards per game. So they're pretty good at defending it. Nebraska is second at 141 yards per game. Deshaun Singleton's not playing. How much that's going to affect what kind of passing attack that Utah may utilize, I don't know. But yeah, he's not playing. Rocco Spindler, of course, we know he's out at right guard. Just had surgery on that gnarly finger. So then I went ahead and I did
with a nub.
Club.
And then I went ahead and I did the average for the conferences, between the conferences as well in passing, and they're not too far apart. The Big 12 averaged 230 yards per game throwing. Big 10 was 219. The Big 12 defended at 213 yards per game, where the Big 10 was 196. So there's really not a whole lot of difference between the two conferences when it comes to passing. Unless you guys got anything to talk about on those numbers, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I don't think Jeep Wade's going to come in and make all the backups play amazing in 2 weeks' time.
No, but if we can come up with a way to protect Lateef just a little bit. I mean, we were way better in those last 3 games at protecting the quarterback than we were in the first 9.
Yep.
I know a lot of that had to be with the quarterback holding on to the ball too long, but at the same time, you got to wonder how excited and geeked up was that offensive line to block for Dylan, knowing he was going to hold on to the ball for 19.7 seconds every time he got a snap. So anyway, don't want to be bagging on Dylan the whole show, even though it's fun. I'm feeling my oats tonight. Here's where the difference is for sure is in the total offense between the two. Utah averages 100 yards more per game than Nebraska does, 90 with most of that, of course, being on the ground. They're at 6th in the country in total offense at 477 yards per game. Nebraska's 81st at 373 yards per game. The defenses are fairly close in the sense that Nebraska does have a top 25 defense at 312 yards per game, but Utah is kind of middle of the pack. They give up 360 yards per game. So that puts them at 60th in the country. And when you look at the conference comparison at total offense and defense, they're really close, just like they were for the other two categories. 396, 396 yards per game of offense in the Big 12 versus 374 on average for the Big 10. And then the Big 12 surrenders 364 per game, and the Big 10 surrenders about 333. So there's not a whole lot of difference between the two conferences. So when you look at it statistically, I'd just be curious to see how many bowl games between the Big 10 and the Big 12, if they were to just play almost team for team in bowl games every year, what that record would end up. By looking at these statistics, statistically, it would say that they would generally split the games right down the middle, statistically. But it's the Big 12. You don't know. They're not as big as the Big 10 as far as the size of athlete, that's for sure. So I'd be curious, see how those things would go. Scoring offense. Utah scores a lot more in Nebraska. They're fifth in the country at 41.1 points per game. Nebraska is 53rd at 29.3. That number was a little better going into those last two games. It was those last two games that really sunk that number, I think. 16th in the country at defensive scoring, which is 18.7 points per game, and Nebraska is 52nd at 23. So one of the things Nebraska was really bad at this year was once an opponent got into the red zone, what they averaged, they gave up the touchdown, 90% of the time, 80% of the time, the other team was scoring a touchdown, which when you look at the points per game Utah is scoring, you got to know they got to be really good inside the 20. If they're dropping 41 points every week, they got to be good inside the 20. So that's a bad matchup for certain. And just for kicks and giggles, there's the difference between the two conferences. 1 point per game difference on average between the Big 12 and Big 10. Big 12 with 29 points a game and Big 10 at 28. And only 2 points per game difference in scoring defense. 24 for the Big 12 and 22 for the Big 10. So those are my overlays for today, guys, for the game. Any thoughts on those that stick out to you? Any of those that really, I know the scoring sticks out to me, and certainly the rushing numbers for certain stick out.
Yeah, the scoring defense really tells a big tale. With you compare their scoring defense with their defensive stats. Yes, they give up a lot of yards, but do they equate to points? And to, like you said, Dad, like it's it's once again unfavorable matchup. Nebraska's really bad as a scoring defense in the red zone, and Nebraska's a really bad scoring offense in the red zone. And it seems like those are also Utah's strengths. They have a really, really strong scoring offense in the red zone and really strong scoring defense in the red zone. It's just
Doesn't match.
Bueno. No bueno.
For certain.
So what do you guys, how much do you guys take into
folks.
account their two offensive linemen, where one's, for sure, like top 15 first rounder, and then the other one's, late first, early second, those two not playing, already having a bad rushing D, but then also how much do we trust our backup running backs? Because we had Emmett all year being the workhorse, being the bell cow.
Yeah.
Plus, offensive linemen not playing.
I wonder sometimes, and I've asked myself this question a few times, especially about from game 5 or 6 on, when you'd see Mosey come in or you'd see Nelson come in and they'd rip off a 6 or 7 or 10-yard run, they're yanking them right out and they're throwing Emmett back out there. You kind of wonder if they didn't platoon a little bit more, if they wouldn't have given those guys maybe 7 carries a game, if we would have seen a little bit more production in the rushing offense overall. But Emmett was the guy. He was getting it done. He was making moves and doing things that we hadn't seen around here since Amir. So anyway, Moonbot is very bold. He says we're going to win by 10 plus. So
I'm proud of you, Moonbot.
A little optimist for certain. So he's pointing at me. Okay, cool. He wins it all in Vegas. All right, cool. Who wins it all in Vegas?
Why are you so
Anyway.
optimistic tonight, Moonbot? Normally you
Yeah,
and
I'm
I are
curious.
like on the same wavelength. If I'm feeling pessimistic, you're feeling pessimistic.
I think it's all in his name. I think he's feeling some really good stuff going there in Colorado, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, Moon. Just call yourself Moon Rock.
There's a reason for the name. All
Well,
right.
we need somebody to
So-
be optimistic.
For sure. Now, if Nebraska were to win the game, guys, if there's something Nebraska could do to actually win this game, what would be those keys? Is there a key on defense and a key on offense that you can think of, Scott, that if Nebraska accomplished it, they could win this game?
I'd say the key on offense would be score more points, and then the key on defense would be don't allow points to be scored. And how that plays out is pretty much every phase. I think you got to have TJ Lateef play a really, really solid game with very minimal mistakes. He's able to play with what he's got. If he's got a dump route open, take the dump route. If he's got a check down, just take the check down. We got to just dink and dunk our way down the field. We've got to get something established with our run game so that alleviates that pressure. And then maybe we get a big play open. I mean, it's just prototypical efficiency football is what we need on the offense. We just need efficiency. There doesn't need to be any razzle dazzle, no mistakes. If you make a mistake, don't just learn from it and move on. Have the memory of a goldfish. And then on defense, I mean, Matt Rule, I guess, like, what are you doing on the defensive line? Is there some magic sauce that you can like mix in with your guys that they suddenly figure out where they need to be to stop the run? Because that's going to be a huge key. We're going to need to stop their run game. It's tough to point out any one thing because I just feel like we need to play a really good game through all phases of the offense and the defense, and then can't discount special teams. We got to have something. Kenneth Williams, can you take one to the house for us again?
There it is. That's it.
Because that was the difference between us winning 7 games this year and only winning 3 was whatever we were doing on special teams all year had such a collective impact that we were able to squeeze out 3 or 4 more wins. So we gotta have our special teams unit at the level that they've been playing at. So
do the opposite of what you did against Iowa.
Yeah.
Because you're playing Iowa again. You know what I mean? But yes, Williams housing a kick was going to be mine. I think special teams is going to be key, right? You have to really excel at the special teams in this game. But then also, one of the things I observed during that Iowa game is none of our receivers aren't aggressive, meaning they don't come back to catch the ball. They wait for the ball to come to them. And so then the defenders are getting away, right, and get ahead of them. Or, the ball floats on them, right? Whereas if you just go towards the ball, you can catch it and you can get it, right? Just like in baseball, right? How would they ever teach you to get a grounder? You don't sit there and wait for the grounder to come to you, right? It's going to bounce up and hit you in the face. You go get it, right? Go get the ball.
Right.
Same thing with the wide receivers. Our guys don't do that at all. And it's insane how that's the last game of the year and you still don't know how to go after the ball. So I think on offense, when it comes to that, go after the ball. And then defense, know that you're playing a disciplined team and they're going to do the right things the small things correctly, the way that Iowa does. And then on special teams, make your field goals, house your kicks.
I like it.
I like it.
I've got a couple of notes here, some things I just looked up, trying to figure out something besides the generic things that I usually say for keys to victory. For me on defense, it's limiting the big plays. Utah, I looked up how many big plays, starting from 10 yards plus all the way up to 50 plus yards. And Utah has ranked very highly all year long in chunk plays. For example, they have 65 plays of 20 plus yards, which is an average of about 5 per game, ranks them in the top 30. But the big one for me is that they have 12 plays of 50 plus yards. So they averaged 150 plus yard play per game, and that ranks them in the top 10. So for me, I think they need to limit the big play. If the defense can get lined up, we've heard all about the fact that in those first 8 plays on defense against Penn State, they didn't even know what the hell the play call was or where they were supposed to line up. So if we can get that part figured out, I think we're a little bit better shape than maybe some people think. And then on offense, I'd say we need to win the time of possession. Nebraska has averaged 30 minutes, 29 seconds per game of time of possession, which ranks them in the top 50. Utah, on the other hand, only averaged another 20, 30, 40 seconds. They were at like 31 minutes per game, almost 31 minutes to the exactly. So in my opinion, for Nebraska to win this game, the offense needs to have the ball for 40 minutes or more, which means they need to establish the run, like you said, Scott, to your point. Absolutely, you need to establish the run game. And then they need to run that play clock down to 5 seconds between plays, kind of like what we did in some other games this year when we had a small lead and we were trying to protect it. Run that play clock down as far as you can, and then use some tempo offense sparingly. Like if you get a big play downfield or whatever, or you get a turnover in the other teams and we get a first down on the first play, then you go tempo, right? So yeah, that's my keys to victory. If the defense can limit the big play and the offense can hold on to time of possession. So there we go. Me and Moonbot are going back and forth. He says Utah isn't Bama. Utah is getting too much credit in my book. Well, Bama shouldn't even be in the playoff. So I said Utah is better than Bama. That's my take. And he said, what? No way. He's laughing at me. Moonbot's laughing at me, Scott. I don't know how to take that. I'm a little bruised right now. My emotions are a little bruised because Moonbot thinks I'm crazy. Well, how about a bold prediction, Scott? Do you have one? Do you have something in your craw that you think is going to happen with a player, with a play, something in the game that's going to create some excitement or sheer sadness?
What's a good one? What's a good one? Something that's like out of the ordinary. Let me think about this. Somebody else pick a bold.
How about you,
pick.
Andrew?
I'm gonna really stew on this one.
I'll go with Williams with a kick return touchdown.
Kenneth Williams with a kick return. Howson one.
Yep.
All right. While you're still thinking, Scott, mine is simple. I think Nelson and Mosey have shown flashes. And with the fact that this defense for Utah averages giving up 181 yards per game, I'm boldly predicting that Mosey and Nelson both cracked 100-yard mark.
Wow, nice.
That'd be nice.
That'd be pretty nice.
See,
okay.
Got one. Moonbot has one. Fake field goal goes for a touchdown.
For who?
Ooh.
Nebraska fakes a field goal and gets a touchdown, Moonbot. I'm guessing that's what he means because he's predicting a 10-point win. So
yeah.
I like that, Moonbot. I do. I don't know why I didn't think of it. I mean, Eckler's been talking up about there's some stuff the special teams needs to do in this game. So I'll be looking for him to be pulling out all stops. All right, Scott, go ahead.
Here we go. Utah is going to get an explosive 50-yard plus play passed down the seam. However, their wide receiver pulls a Terrence Nunn and just for no reason at all, just fumbles the ball. And we get the ball back.
That's extremely bold, and I love it.
That is bold.
Yeah.
Is that Terrence? Was that Terrence Nunn or was that Niles Paul that did that against Iowa State? Where he's like running for a touchdown and then he just drops the ball at like the 10.
I wanted to say it was Nunn, but maybe it was Niles Paul now that you mention it. Because were they in the same era?
Terrence Nunn was Callahan. He was gone by the time Pelini was coaching against Iowa State. So
let me just look this up. Niles Paul fumble Iowa State. Let's see if that pulls up.
It should. I just watched that game like a month ago because I like to punish myself for being a fan. 9-6. Let's watch that. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Hey, at least we got basketball, right?
Amen. And I'll be curious are you guys watching it?
They're up by 3 at halftime, 41-38. They've been scrappy all first half.
Oh, jeez.
But that's how we do it. We come.
Too.
That's how we do it. We play them close through the first half, and then the second half we make adjustments. We come out, start blowing them out of the water. We'll be all right.
So does Fred break another whiteboard today, or is it because it's kind of a low down team? He's going to just tell them, hey, this is not who you are, like he did last week.
If we pull this one out, then we go into Michigan State, and we're playing like crap against Michigan State. Then because that's
that'll be They could be looking ahead a little bit. Did you find it?
Yeah, it was Niles Paul.
Okay.
I've got there's a whole highlight reel with like the clown music. Yeah.
Yep.
Turns the ball over 8 times. That was
the ugliest, nastiest game. And that was the one time you saw the tunnel walk where they didn't run out of the tunnel. They came out of the tunnel, locked arms, and they just marched out on the field. Then they proceeded to play like absolute dog crap. But it's like, well, they're not going to do that again, most likely.
Yeah. It's weird to think that was the same year that we went to the Big 12 championship and lost to Texas. Like, I forgot that was the same year.
Moonbot, I'll tell you, if you're still watching, you and Coach are the only two associated with the broadcast of this podcast right now who have called Nebraska to win it. Coach has Nebraska winning 21-20. Moonbot, I think you said it was like a 10-point win, if I remember. So, yeah. Going to win by 10 plus is what he said. So
10 plus.
Appreciate that. If you want to throw an actual score in the chat, Moonbot, we'll throw it up there on the screen. That'd be awesome.
I want to know how much Moonbot's betting on that. How much money they're laying down on that one.
I'd be curious if he bets at all.
Never bet on Nebraska.
I wouldn't.
I don't bet on the Huskers or the Niners ever.
There he is. He's actually betting the Huskers to not just cover, but wow, 31-17, a 14-point win by Nebraska. That's crazy sauce. I think you're nuts.
14
and I hope you're right.
God, I hope you're right,
I hope
Moonbot.
you're right, and I am so dead wrong. So I got Nebraska covering the spread at 31-24 because I think we're going to run the ball better than people expect. I think the defense is going to play a little bit better, and I think the fact that those 2 tackles for Utah are not playing is going to probably slow the run game down a little bit. Although I think they have some pretty decent depth. 150 on money line. The overs on the first half for 50. Woo!
I like
Brother,
that.
You're throwing some. That's
show your bet slip or it didn't happen.
Yeah. And we are neither condoning nor are we any kind of betting at all. We're not associated with any kind of a betting.
Damn, the money line's plus 410.
Ooh.
That's a lot.
And the primary Dave comments. Yeah, the primary Dave, as I've called him. Yeah, halftime of basketball, which I can't wait to pop that up on my phone while I eat my nighttime snack before I go to sleepy poo. Yeah, he'll be at the game. So,
sweet.
Dave,
good for him.
We're gonna put W's in the chat for you. W for the game, and then we're gonna put F's in the chat for how the game will play out. So we will pay our respects by pressing F. So yeah, dude, this game is just like the worst possible matchup idea that has ever been made. And then
I love it. I think it's good. I think it's good that we play a Utah, somebody that we don't normally play. I think they are one of those teams that would like their style fits with Big Ten teams, especially like the original Big Tens, like the Penn States, the Minnesotas, the Wisconsins, the Iowas. Like,
it is a fun
run,
matchup.
Play defense, we'll beat you on the lines. You know what I mean? Like that just screams a Big Ten team. So I think for us, we should be excited about it because it's going to let us know where our young guys are at and where we need to go back into the portal, which, I mean, obviously we need to have a big portal year based on the recruiting class and how small it was. But our recruiting class for next year is already off to a fire start. We kind of knew that's the way that things were going to go. It's just we need to evaluate these young guys today or tomorrow in the game and be like, all right, where do we need to go clean up in the portal?
We do have a good opportunity to shake the losses against ranked opponents. We can shake that monkey off of our back.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a really good opportunity to take a step forward in the right direction that, the season kind of underwhelmed almost everybody, but you're able to cap it off with an exciting win, top 25 opponent. That's 10 wins. There's a lot of storyline value that comes from winning this game. So
who do you guys want as far as a transfer quarterback? Like, who's your?
I was just going to ask that question. Because I threw it in here as a banner, as just to throw up as a banner. If Lateef has a good game, even in a loss tomorrow, does Nebraska need to get a starter in the portal for 2026 or find a capable backup or two?
I think you need to get some. I think you need to get a starter because Lateef ain't afraid to compete, and he's not gonna tuck his tail between his legs and go cry in the corner if he doesn't beat the guy out in spring and fall camp. Go have two starters because we all know the injury history at Nebraska and at the quarterback position. You need to have two guys capable of starting at all times for you.
Yeah, I do like that take. And evidence has shown that when you're least expecting it, guess what, Lateef? You're the guy now. Finish off the season for us.
Yep.
I just don't know who. I've seen a bunch of names floating around, and I guess I don't stay up to date. Like every single time I'm like, oh, what about this name? They're like, oh, he's going here. It's like, oh, okay. Well, never mind on that one. So I'll let you guys kind of roll with that one. I mean, I saw Aiden Chili's.
Yeah, that's been a big one, right? Everyone wants to talk about getting another running quarterback, right? Well, we all know what we need to have. Lateef is a quarterback who's capable of running, right? Yeah. We don't need a running quarterback whose main goal is to run all the time. We need a quarterback.
We need a mobile quarterback who can throw the ball.
Exactly.
And throw the nice short and manage the offense and get himself out of trouble, as well as do just enough called runs that are successful to keep 11 guys' eyes, not just simply on a running back.
Yep. Like I always said about Dylan is I don't need Dylan to go run for 40 yards like Lamar Jackson. I just need him to step up in the pocket and get 5 when it collapses. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all we need. Yep, exactly. So, Aiden Childs, kind of okay. Like that doesn't really get my blood flowing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I also don't think that we're going to go get a Sorsby or any of these other guys who are trying to prove themselves for the NFL. Or do we really want to pay somebody that much just to have Lateef potentially beat them out if Lateef is that good. We don't know.
Do you think Rocco Becht is following Campbell to Penn State, or is that somebody Rule would go after?
I don't know. I think it's so like, I think kind of to Scott's point, it's been kind of tough to try and keep up with everything because, I mean, let's be realistic. Every year that we get a little bit older and we have kids and everything, it's a little tougher to keep up on this stuff, right?
For sure.
So, but it's so much more movement now too, to where it used to be where, okay, if I just hopped on Twitter every other day or every 3 days, I could pretty much get caught up. Now it's, if you don't have that, just go on your computer work screen all day, every day. You can't even keep up on all of it, right?
Yeah.
It's insane, right?
For sure.
And so, yeah, I don't know who my wish list is. I just know that we've heard Child's name thrown all around a lot, but I don't know. That doesn't really do it for me. I watched that game. I took my son to that game for Michigan State. I like to think that we won the game because of him when he let his balloon off in the end of the third quarter, and it went across the stadium and all the way into the visiting locker room. Then we started winning again. So
nice.
Shout out
your son.
Shout out to Jay for that one. Oh yeah. He still talks about it to this day.
Yeah, I'd say when I think about it, yeah, I just want a guy who's going to come in here. We don't have to pay him a lot of money.
Don't give a shit about the name. Just
he can just compete with Lateef, give him some necessary experience, some necessary competition, and then truly just see best man wins. I don't need a flashy name.
Right.
Just a guy who's competent and is going to fit the system that Rule now wants to build with Dylan being gone. I don't care
who Dana want, Let's get Dana a quarterback that he wants. I think Lateef's the guy that he wants, right? I think
he likes TJ a lot. Yeah.
I think the way the ball comes off of his hands, Dana's all about it, right? Well, who's going to be that other guy? I don't think it needs to be some big name guy. We just need to know he's going to be the fit for what we want to do.
There's 2 plays I can think of in one game this year that tells me everything I need to know about TJ Lateef's arm. I think it was the Houston Baptist game or HCU, Houston Christian.
Yeah.
When Dylan throws that long one to Dane Key that got caught up in the wind, so he would have scored if Dylan would have put some mustard on it. And then later when Lateef comes in, he puts that same pass right down the middle, that post route to Quinn Clark, I believe it was, and absolutely threw a rope
into the wind again.
The same wind, and he put it on him. And I'm like, that's all I needed to know about Lateef's arm versus Dylan's. I think Dylan has that capability. I just don't think his head was connecting with the fact that he needed to put some zip on the ball.
I think Lateef's young enough and got less responsibilities on his shoulder that he can still come in and just kind of be relaxed and just play, especially with the games put away, all of that. Dylan's got all this pressure on him, so
for sure.
There's a lot of that. But
absolutely. Well, boys, this was a fun conversation. I really appreciate you joining us tonight, Andrew. For those of you who are watching in the future, the plan is for Andrew to join us as often as he is willing to do so and able to do so. We have had a little bit of cast switch up tonight. Number one, Coach was just not available. He's out with family. He's got a family member getting married tomorrow evening. So he's prioritizing his family tonight, and Justin will not be joining the podcast in the future. Just say we had a unresolved difference of opinion on things, and it's not looking to be resolved anytime soon. So we appreciate Justin. We appreciate everything that he brought to the podcast over this last year. Make sure you're subscribed to him at Nebraska, at the Voice of College Football. He puts out some dynamic and outstanding information. He has some great live streams and stuff. So make sure you're following him over there. And we do appreciate everything that he did for us. So thanks, Justin, if you happen to catch this. And we wish you nothing but the best. So in the future, anytime you want to come on, Andrew, you're going to stay in the group text with us. So you'll know when we're podcasting. And if you're free, you are always welcome, my friend. And we really appreciate what you bring to the show and the insight that you have, because it's definitely was valuable tonight. Thank you.
I think insight's probably a loose term, but we'll go with it.
Well, hey, your Niners won on Sunday, so man, you got a reason to smile, dude.
Let's
that
go.
Was some kind
one
of game.
More, baby. One more.
One of the best. That was the best NFL game I've seen in a long time. I think we talked about that before we went live. It was so much fun, and that was to me, that was the blueprint of where the NFL is going quarterback wise as well, because you've got Purdy who can put the ball where he wants to put it, but he can get himself out of trouble anytime and run anytime, and that just makes him so hard to stop. The same thing with Caleb Williams, and I think that's what Nebraska needs to find, that Brock Purdy type person that can push TJ Lateef, who I see a lot of that Caleb Williams ability in him. So
no, that game definitely about gave me a mild heart attack, for sure. The one thing to keep in mind too, though, is how much Shanahan plays a part in that. So
for sure.
So not only does he scheme against players, defensive players, but he schemes against defensive players' personalities. So in the first quarter, they ran a play against Traymon Edmonds, and they see how much Traymon Edmonds is very aggressive, and it's like, you're not even going to get a yard on me, right? So when they run that Tonage's tight end up to him, they know he's pushing to him. They see him very aggressive. So that last big touchdown with Juwan Jennings that they needed, fourth quarter, 2 minutes left, he knows that Edwards is going to play aggressive all game. So they run the exact same play with Tonage's going over the middle, running directly at Edwards. Edwards comes in super aggressive. Well, he's supposed to stay on the backside because Juwan Jennings is going to come around, cut his route short, and hook under. And that's exactly what he did. But Purdy, then you look at it from Purdy's angle, and the way that he watches Edwards and then watches the other one, I can't remember the other Bears defender's name, but the way he sits in it, and he, before Jennings even really breaks, he's already throwing it and throwing it ahead of him. And it's just like,
he knew.
Holy crap. The poetry that these guys have is just,
they know.
It'll make you cry sometimes.
Well, it helps you're a fan of the Niners too. So you pay attention to all those things. So, but anyway, Andrew, again, thanks for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate
as well. And we will be back next Tuesday. We're going to do a recap of the Las Vegas Bowl as well as the portals opening on January 2nd. And I'm sure we're going to have a whole lot of stuff to talk about come January 6th when we come back here again in this studio. So Moonbot, make sure you put that on your calendar. We will be back next Tuesday. And then from there, we're probably going to be every month or so doing a show right up until probably spring game month. Then we might do a few shows leading up to the spring game. And there will be a spring game again, by the way. I don't know if you saw that, Andrew and Scott. But Matt did say that since there's no spring portal anymore, he wants to go back to having that regular spring game format. And it's been a while since I've been to one. I want to go to one again. So maybe we'll have to have a studio show, Andrew. You might have to come out here again like you did a couple of years ago. That really kind of helped launch our podcast, really. So that would be fun.
That's right around draft time too.
Yes, it is. You did your draft show in here with Big Red and More, if I remember right.
That's right. Yep.
I think I still have one of those cigars you gave me around here somewhere.
Do you?
Yeah, nice. I think so. I think it's in the humidor. I don't know. I don't remember. I might have smoked them all. But anyway. All right, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Follow info. Do you have any info you want to throw out there for people to follow you on social media, Andrew, or are you just kind of incognito these days?
Nah, you don't need to worry about what I'm doing. I don't post anything really that much anymore anyway, so no biggie.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at ScottGenRedPod.
That's right. Scott with 2 T's. Second T is and always will be silent. Facebook, X, and YouTube at Gen Red Pod is where you follow our show on social media. Our podcast is Generation Red. Search for that on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and get subscribed. Make sure you leave a rating and a review. Helps folks find the show. Our website, genredpod.com. Email is genredpod@gmail.com. So for Andrew, myself, and Scott, and for the absentee coach, together we are Generation Red, and we are here to remind you every single week that there is no place like Nebraska.
Iowa's corn sucks so bad. It almost sucks it still sucks more than Diego Pavelas, whatever his name is. Diego PP. His attitude. Iowa's corn still sucks more than his attitude, but
I'll be rooting for him tomorrow anyway. I just want to see Pavia lose. That'd be so awesome.
Yeah, it's tough.
Have a bad game.
I'm still gonna root for Vanderbilt because I can't stomach cheering for Iowa. Maybe Diego. No, I can't put that out in the universe. Yeah, I just hope Iowa loses forever.
Nope, I can't do it. Can't root for an SEC team. Just can't do it. So I'm gonna pull for Iowa. If they both can figure out how to lose, that would be the best. But anyway, thanks guys. Thanks Andrew. Thanks Scott. We will see you next week, and go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.